Welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures That Outperform. I'm Frank Wander. I'm here with my co-host Terry Mays. Today, we're going to be going over the passive aggressive personality. If you've been following this series, we're doing people unproductive. These are the people that tend to degrade the performance of the organization and make sure that your culture isn't outperforming. So it's very important to understand these personality types, how to deal with them, how to spot them, what you should do. Today, we're going to talk about the passive aggressive personality. That's a real type of individual. It's a trait. Generally, when you're dealing with a passive aggressive person, this is somebody who's got some kind of grievance. And this is a very kind of hidden way of them getting back at the organization. So there's some underlying tension. They could just be a toxic person, quite honestly, like to disrupt everything. But generally, you're dealing with individuals that have some grievance. Maybe they felt they weren't treated fairly. Maybe they felt that, they've been overlooked. They weren't appreciated. Their work wasn't appreciated. They were misunderstood. Coworkers aren't treating them right. Whatever it is, they decide they're not going to contribute. And they're going to go like on a quiet, a work slowdown, so to speak, and be disruptive without being in your face about it. So they're pretty smart people and they can be very tactful about how they do this. And so you got to spot them, but we'll talk about it, Tara. What do you think?
Yeah, this person is really kind of deceiving, right? So they're giving you this response that makes you think, "Oh, okay, we're on the same page, we're thinking the same way." They're kind of nodding their head and saying, "Yes, oh yeah, I can help you out with this," or they're agreeing to
Mhm.
support some activity. But then when it's time to actually do something, they haven't done a thing. They actually walk away from you and they go off and do the opposite of what they just agreed to do. Or they
Yeah.
claim to be on board with something, but no, not really. You
No,
know,
not really. Yeah.
yeah, they're just kind of giving you that vibe that makes you feel like they're in agreement with you, but then in actuality, they're not. They're not really on board. They're not really looking to help or support. They give you those backhanded compliments.
Oh, yeah. And you
Those
have
are the ones that get me.
they go off and they try to undermine what was decided.
Yes,
Work in the background, quietly, because they're always doing things behind the scenes.
yes,
They'll position themselves as giving really, really good feedback, but it's designed to be hurtful and unproductive. But they guise it as, listen, I think my gut feel is this isn't right for these reasons. And they'll make it look like they're trying to be helpful, whereas their entire intention is to launch a torpedo.
right. That's exactly right. Because ultimately, they don't want it to be successful. They don't
No.
want you to get ahead. They don't want things to be done well. They're just kind of, they want to be the star of the show. And so if they're not, then they're not going to support anybody else. They're not going to help anybody else get ahead or do anything well.
Yeah, not at all. They'll use sarcasm as a weapon sometime,
Hmm.
where they'll make a comment directed at somebody else that could be relatively hurtful, but try to do it in a way where, might get a laugh out of it. But these things are all designed to make sure that they're getting back at the organization. They could be late with stuff, and they could be late on purpose with the things that they have
Hmm.
done. They could be claiming that things are more complicated than they really are, so that they're slowing things down in a purposeful way. They could be big procrastinators. These people have a lot of tactics and tools that they employ. I think I've seen them so many times in agreement in meetings because I've worked with these folks over the years, and then they're always undermining it in the background. That's a big one.
Yeah. And, the other ones that they pretend like they don't know how to do something.
Hmm.
And they really do know how to do it, but they're just not really willing to be helpful or try to work well with others. They are really just, really trying to sabotage. That's
Yeah,
really what it boils down to. They're really trying to sabotage and make
yeah,
sure that things are not done well. That incompetence that's perceived, they want you to perceive them as being competent, but then they turn around and then they act like, "Oh, well, I didn't know," or "I'm so sorry." Like they're just so considerate, but really they're not.
right. Or they'll provide, wrong information on purpose,
Right,
right? They'll
right.
conceal information that could be very helpful to the team, or they'll even provide wrong information.
That's
And
right.
this can be very damaging. And these people do get found out. And it is the job of the leaders, not the coworkers, to spot these individuals and confront them head on, saying, "Look, I think you're a lot better than this. You know a lot of information. You're not contributing anywhere near your potential. Something bothering you. So
Yes,
you gotta try to get it out of them in a polite way and deal with whatever this underlying issue is. And it is the role of leaders to draw this out. And if they're really causing trouble and breaking down teamwork and causing things to misstates, there's a price to be paid for that. And they need to
yes,
pay the price, which can include getting them out of there.
that's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's really your only resort with some of these
Yeah.
personality types. We like to think about people being able to recover
Yeah.
and being able to learn and grow from being this type person, but sometimes the personality type is just very destructive. And if that person is not willing to change their ways, there really is only one choice and one solution to that problem, and that's to eliminate that person from the environment. You
Yeah.
want to make sure, eliminate sounds so strong, like we're going to take them out. I
Yeah.
don't mean take them out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to actually, maybe
I'm gonna
that,
politely deal with it, but
I know, like we're the mob, we're going to take them
yeah.
out. But
All right.
no, you really
Louis,
you
get rid
really
of that
have to
guy. He's
address
done
it.
here.
Yeah, you have to address it. You can't just let it go and think that it's going to work itself out. Some of these personality types are very aggressive and very damaging to the environment that you're working in. So you do not want to hesitate. You do not want to let that personality type linger and stay
Yeah.
in control for very long. You want to make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can to restore that environment to a place where people can be productive, where they can feel like they're safe at work, where their coworkers are not really working against them
Yeah.
actively, but they're all working together. So, as a leader, it's your job to make sure that that culture in the organization is a healthy one.
Oh my God, 100%. You can't tolerate that type of thing. I mean, because you're going to spot certain traits, they're going to be resisting things. They're going to resist change. They're going to resist the things that are good to do. And they're going to play that role. They're going to avoid responsibility. They're going to be negative about a lot of stuff. I mean, these are the passive aggressive personality traits. So we gave you examples of very specific things they do, but it all boils down to some form of resistance or avoidance of responsibility and things that are undermining the team and slowing them down. So when you see those traits, you may very well be dealing with this passive aggressive person, especially if they're saying all the right things in the meeting and then trying to undermine things in the background. Boy, I think that's the most common, to be honest with you, what I've seen
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah, I think so too. Marcella, you want to bring up the key takeaways?
All right. Perfect job. Perfect job. Thank you.
All right. So, a lot of what we talk about, again, these are personality types that you see in the workplace. We encourage you to go back and review the entire series. These are just personalities that you see over and over again, no matter where you work. You're going to find some of these personality types. It's not limited to any one organization. These are kind of standard, typical personality types you see across the board. But this passive aggressive person, this whole term of ghosting is something
Yeah.
relatively new. So I thought that was really interesting to include. And
Yeah.
by the way, I got this information from Very Well Mind. Their website is really good when it comes to human behaviors and understanding people. They have some fantastic information that's easy to digest on their website. So I highly encourage and recommend you take a look at their website. But they have this ghosting or seemingly appearing to disappear. So people just kind of, you're engaging with them and then all of a sudden they just stopped responding, or they're not, doing the things that they need to do. They
Form of
give
resistance. Form of resistance. That's what it
Yeah,
is with these things.
Absolutely. They give you these backhanded compliments where, it starts off sounding like it's going to be something very nice, but then by the time it's all said and done, you're kind of like, wait a minute, that
Wait.
was a slap in the face. That wasn't a compliment.
Yeah. Wow, I thought that was gonna be wonderful. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
giving people the silent treatment, not responding when they need to, saying yes, but they really mean no. So we talked about this a little bit where people are being very agreeable and they're nodding their head like, yes, we're in
Yeah.
agreement, but then they walk away and go do the opposite of what they just agreed to, making excuses rather
Yeah.
than just really being honest and transparent. Some of this is about that unwillingness to be open, and you really do have to have a level of transparency in the workplace. You don't have to just share everything about everything, but in order for a team to really thrive and work well together, you need to have some level of transparency where people can feel like they can share things and that everyone shares, not just one or two people, but that the entire team can work well
Yeah.
together. So this kind of speaks to not wanting to really be open and transparent. They're procrastinating. And then we talked a little bit about this as well, where they just kind of respond with that sarcasm that really gives you just like a little dig. It's not so much, it's just kind of like, like I'm going to give you just a little bit of a dig, but
Yeah.
just enough that it's subtle and it's not, like it's like the backhanded compliment where, it starts off being something kind of nice and innocent, and before you know
Something
it,
like, "I've gotta commend everybody on working so hard in spite of the fact we really missed all these deadlines."
yeah,
Right?
right. Just really think that they're going to be saying
Right.
something nice, and then it turns out to be not so nice.
Yeah, that's
So
the whole
it's,
point of it, right? Is the what
yeah,
they end with.
yeah. Yeah. So you wanna make sure you're keeping your anger in check when you're dealing with this person because, they're playing off of the situation. They're gonna play off of your emotions, and if you start raging, then they're gonna really come across like the victim. They're gonna really start
Mhm.
turning it up like they're just, they're trying to be as helpful as possible, and this crazy lady is yelling and screaming and she's angry, and I don't know why she's angry. It's that kind of thing where they're trying to play against you.
They are
So,
clever manipulators, so be careful.
yes, absolutely. But, again, I encourage you to take a look out there, and then for your move this week, go out there and recognize some of those passive aggressive coworkers that might be on your team. See if you've been missing it. Like, look at these lists and really do some research and see, maybe I've missed this a little bit. Maybe I haven't really recognized the passive aggressive person on my team.
Yeah, and if you do and you're a leader, try to dig in and find out what is really bothering them because 'cause they're doing this because they wanna get back at the organization.
That's right.
Generally, there's some grievance, they're holding it in, and when you spot it, you have a chance to surface this and maybe deal with it and move beyond it, which would be the best outcome. Some of these people are very bright, they know a lot, and, it's best if you can actually put them productively to work, mend relationships, and if not, look, they're a cancer in the organization, you gotta get rid of them, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
that's
You're
right.
missing everybody.
That's right.
So, this is actually the last episode of People Unproductive. We've had a great series here. I think you should go look up the prior episodes. Real wealth of information here, absolute wealth of information. Next week, we're going to get down to quiet quitting. We're going
Yes,
to talk about this new phenomenon, which is a very old phenomenon, and we'll explain that. But, it's in the news. Quiet quitting is happening, and it's something
yeah.
you should be aware of because you can avoid it.
It's a hot, hot topic these days.
Yes, and, your organization just should not be a victim of this. It's completely unnecessary if leaders understand how to create an environment where people wanna put down roots and stay. This isn't gonna happen. They'd be motivated, they'd like the place. So, this is totally avoidable. We'll talk about quiet quitting, what are the signs, what you can do about it. Join us next week. We're live every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and we hope to see you there. So, all
Yes.
the best. Take care.
Yes. Bye for now.